empowering your life. Welcome to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by
Tidal. Tidal's having their 4th annual benefit concert on October 23rd to support criminal justice reforms and support charity organizations such as Equal Justice Initiative, Reform, The Innocence Project, and others. Tidal will be having a free live stream of the entire event and donation opportunities on their website at tidal.com/Brooklyn.
Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Society Now. I am your host, Kira Laws, and you can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with an I, not a Y. And across from me, I have my new and improved, handsome co-host. Well, it's not improved because he looks good every day.
There it is.
There it is.
Hey,
Tell
y'all,
me who you are.
What's going on? It's your man, Kalen Laws, a.k.a. Senior Wapo. Do me a quick favor. Do me a solid. Go to Instagram. Go to Twitter. Go to Facebook and type in, you ready? SENORGUAPO713 on our social media outlets. Again, that's Senior Wapo 713. And thank you for tuning in to Society Now, where we talk all things news related content. Well, there's no fake news over here. We're not fake news. We don't have a hashtag alternative facts. This is real talk.
Because life is happening.
It
I
is.
mean, at the speed of
life. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, there's no dull moments when you really think about it. You might have a horrible day from time, well, a horrible minute or moment, but not really a dull one, right? There's always something happening. And so, I mean, with that being said, let's talk about some breaking news that just happened, like within the past hour. I know you were sharing with me about the Laquan McDonald case. Tell us more about what's going on with that case.
So Laquan McDonald, the officer who was accused of murdering Laquan McDonald, has been convicted as of about maybe 65, 70 minutes ago. He was convicted of second-degree murder. The original charge was first-degree murder, but right before deliberations or during the trial, I'm not sure when, but during this trial, the jury was instructed to also consider second-degree murder as well. So he was convicted as well of 16 other lesser offenses. So he was convicted on all counts, serving a mandatory. The judge waived the bond, so he's going to stay in there until October 30th, and then that's when he receives sentencing, which will be, they're going to apply mandatory minimum to that, which is 20 years. Okay. So he's probably in his late 30s, early 40s, so he'll be, knocking on AARP age when he gets out.
And I think you mentioned this is critical and this is key. You mentioned one of the key components was something that the jury shared, or a juror shared, which was what they heard the officers say once they pulled up, and I guess this was recorded on their camera. What was it?
So as they were approaching and they saw Laquan McDonald, the report said that Laquan McDonald was acting, quote, erratically, and he had a 3-inch blade out, but he wasn't necessarily like trying to attack anybody or in someone in harm's.
There was no one near.
Yeah, there was nowhere near. Thank you. I couldn't get it out. And so, but the officer was heard saying, according to testimony, that, "Oh my God, we're gonna have to shoot that guy," as they were pulling up. So that leads to almost some premeditation, right? Like you're already your itchy trigger finger.
And then I think that also goes to that what we were talking about is that whole. Let's start training on de-escalation. Like, what does that look like? Because as a trained official, there should be some way that, you can see the difference between the knife and a gun. You know what I mean? The weapons aren't necessarily equitable. Sure, they can lead to death, but their weapons are not necessarily equitable.
Yeah.
So what can we do to diffuse the situation so that someone doesn't have to die?
Agreed.
And so,
yeah.
and we see it time and time again. We talk about this in the news every day, that there are several times where we've seen people, situations be de-escalated without persons being dead. But usually those persons aren't necessarily in the same class. So it's just a conversation. I would love to see what we're going to do to make sure that we start having that conversation more frequently about how to de-escalate these situations, and so people won't lose their life, because there's always a story that we don't ever hear. We only hear one person's story after someone dies.
And so that was a big point for one of the jurors as well, saying that he did nothing to attempt to de-escalate.
Yeah.
And so because of that, and them hearing on camera say, well, we might have to shoot this guy. Well, that was the nail in the coffin. That was the turn. The article actually said that was the turning point.
Absolutely,
in the case.
because at that point you can't ignore that statement.
Right.
Especially if it's recorded. You can't ignore that statement actually happened, and especially if you see that there was no de-escalation. It'd be different if the statement happened and someone's like, okay, well, no, actually, this is what we can do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's not what happened, and because of that, yes. So
because that goes to state of mind and intent.
Yes, because you went in believing that that's what you were going to do, and you did it. So that, definitely. So again, I'm glad justice is served. I hate that we can't bring his life back. We can't necessarily remedy that any other way, but this is a turn in the right direction. And for a very diverse jury, I heard it was a turn in the right direction because they had persons from all sides listening in to make sure the right outcome happened. So I'm thankful about that. Now, I want to talk about Kavanaugh, and I kind of say "nah," like
Kavanaugh.
No. So we, this conversation, these confirmation hearings have been going on for a very long time. We heard from Dr. Ford last week, and earlier this week, last week, and people were talking about how they were comparing Dr. Ford's testimony to that past testimonies, and a lot of things that happened. There were, a lot of emotion in the testimony on both sides, but specifically, they were talking about how he was acting very much out of character, or whatever character he, for someone who should have been a little bit more, I don't know what the word is.
Humble, stoic.
Humble, okay. Because this is the very thing, okay, thank you. The humility or lack thereof was the very thing that we talked about, or was been talked about with, not trying to compare, but with the Cosby case when they said he showed no remorse.
Yeah.
Is this the same type of show no remorse that we're talking about, where it's that conversation? And I know you have a lot of feelings about that, but Kavanaugh, so I think that there is it's a very sad day when I know that for these very same things that were brought up in conversation, a normal person, if they were actually trying to go for a job, an employer probably wouldn't hire him.
Exactly.
And so this particular job, he's probably we're not gonna say what's gonna happen, but the fact that we have spent so much time on it as if it's up for discussion, when a regular job you would get hired, and this is a job that you typically can't get fired from, because you sit on this bench until you die.
Right. The only way you're removed from being SCOTUS, Supreme Court Justice of the United States, the only way that you can get removed is to do something illegal, right? Die or quit. And so those are the three ways to leave that post. But again, to your point, Kira, you're absolutely right. With so many people, so many other organizations. Listen, Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, that whatever law office, McDonald's, it doesn't matter. These organizations would not hire a person that comes with this kind of allegation and baggage, because it's just too much of a PR nightmare, and people don't want to deal with it. So the fact that I'm not saying guilt or innocence, right? Even though I have my own opinions, that has yet to be seen in necessarily in a court of law, so to speak, or during some sort of hearing. But the fact that we're pushing, and I'm gonna say we, because I'm an American as well, but our leaders are pushing to push this guy through, and not at least investigate. That's the problematic part to me, because you don't care. And it's really interesting, because I was reading an op-ed earlier this week, and it was a woman talking about, I know why a lot of, she specifically said evangelical women support Kavanaugh. She was raised to do the same, and her spin was on the fact that persons like him are from a Christian background that
usually makes the onus on the woman to protect herself from any form of sexual assault, to protect herself from any form of harassing behavior. They put the onus on a woman to not dress a certain way, to not look a certain way, to not go certain places, and they don't let the man foster that blame as well. And so her take on it was, I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand why so many people do think that way, because in their mind, if a woman is in a situation where she could potentially be sexually assaulted, it might be because she put herself in that situation. And we know that's not true. We know there's some overly aggressive behavior that happens, alcohol present or not present. It's personality, honestly. And so the way that it's being handled is quite unfortunate, because we're not seeing equity across the board. We're not seeing justice when it comes to conversations about sexual assault, about character. We're just not seeing it. It seems like the focus has been on just pushing the nominee through before the November election.
Yeah, and that's 100%.
And that's unfortunate.
The focus, because when the November election comes, it's so up in the air in the Republicans' minds that they're like, oh God, we got to get this guy in, because if the party in power, if the Republicans lose the Senate, he's not getting in. Period. It's a wrap. So it's all politics, right? But at what cost and at what expense? That's Absolutely. The issue I'm having.
Yeah, it is all politics. But again, and a lot of people have political views. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like for instance, Kanye West. Kanye West recently, we love Kanye. We love little Kanye. Kanye is he is Kanye, right? And it wasn't even a rant. He made a statement that about he wants to change the 13th Amendment. He said, well, not necessarily scrap it, but change it. His extended thought was that there are parts of the 13th Amendment that he feels like are not favorable, and that's where his statement of slavery came in. And I do understand that. He definitely did take a piece he definitely did take a piece of, quoting the 13th Amendment about, and this more intently than I do, the actual specifics.
Yeah, the short of it is the clause that he was referencing once he went backtrack, and even when I first read it, I knew what he meant, was the clause about slavery being illegal unless you're incarcerated, pretty much.
Unless you're incarcerated.
Yeah, and then at that point, that's the new form of slavery, which we all know it's in the law. And so the fallout is because African American men are
incarcerated at higher rates,
way higher rates. Then slavery is still around, right? And so that's what he wants to change, and according to his explanation. Yeah. When he first said this tweet, and so it's the exception clause is what it's called, which allows the continuation of slavery and involuntary servitude through incarceration. So that's where you get the free labor from, and when you look back in the day, you look at movies, they still were tilling the field. They were, what I'm saying,
tilling the field, and now we have them making products and providing services in some areas. So I totally get what he was trying to say, but again, it's that fair to communicate effectively and clearly that gets people in an uproar. And I think what we're seeing, just kind of crossing that, what we're seeing is people are not able to actually say effectively, how this is going to really impact Americans.
That impact is something that we have to continue to talk about and continue to continue to really monitor, because especially from an organizational standpoint, in fact, Tidal is doing just that. As part of their 4th annual benefit concert, Tidal and Brooklyn, the Tidal Brooklyn franchise, are supporting criminal justice reform. Now, all net proceeds from this concert help support charity organizations such as the Equal Justice Initiative, Reform, the Innocence Project, and Cut 50. Now, check this out. I need you guys to hear me on this. 1 in every 15 African American males is incarcerated, compared to just 1 in every 106 white men. Now, what does that mean? 1 in 3 African American males can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. I mean, come on. More than 23% of those incarcerated are on probation and or parole and are stuck in the criminal justice system simply because they cannot afford bail. Now, there will be a free live stream of this entire show on October 23rd, and you can find out more to donate to the cause and tune in to Tidal.com/Brooklyn. Remember, the Tidal is a streaming music app that brings artists and fans together with unlimited music and video content available completely ad-free. You can play your favorite classics and discover new artists with 58 million songs and 240,000 videos at your fingertips. Create playlists or try one of ours, hand-curated by our music editors and the artists themselves. So shout out to Tidal and Tidal Brooklyn for really embodying what and doing something about that exception clause, so to speak, which Kanye was trying to say. You know, I think it's interesting because I agree with what Kanye said, and we need to amend the 13th Amendment again with this whole. Well, it's tough because I think the criminal justice system in and of itself needs to be amended to not target African Americans and people of color more than they target anyone else, to have policies levied against us at an exceptionally unfair rate. But you know, that's where we are, and it's unfortunate. But Tidal is really trying to do something about this, so I appreciate that. I really do appreciate it. I also appreciate my childhood.
I do too, and I'm so excited about this news that I read.
Yeah, that talks about and goes back to our childhood.
I mean, I read recently, and everybody get ready to get really excited that Jeffrey might actually have a home again. Who is Jeffrey? Jeffrey is the giraffe.
The Jeffrey Giraffe, baby. Who we talking about?
Toys R Us, the lenders planning to revive the brand and reopen stores. So originally they were going to auction off parts of the store, including the logo, a lot of the trademarking of Toys R Us. But after consideration, they were like, you know what? This actually has a life. We actually might be able to do something. So they're considering bringing back Toys R Us in some form of a retail store starting in 2019. Not quite sure about how they're going to push it, but there's like maintaining the brand under a new independent U.S. business is the best option for Toys R Us estate and other indirect and direct stakeholders, according to the filing, which says bids from outside investors for the assets were not reasonably enough likely to yield a superior alternative. So there's like, it's just better to keep the brand. And it makes sense to me. I think they just didn't have the right people at the table having to talk about what can you do with a brand like Toys R Us. It has such a rich history.
Yeah.
So finding out how to redevelop it, putting it online, giving Jeffrey a home. I mean, people really felt some type of way, but I don't think they gave enough time.
Yeah, no, it was so immediate,
and it was so sudden,
and it was so reactionary.
Yeah, I'm saying it's very knee jerk, right?
Bro, and you know that Amazon effect really kicked them in the gonads. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that they're coming back. I mean, you know, we grew up as Toys R Us kids,
right?
You know, and I want our children to grow up as Toys R Us kids. I think it was a lot of fun going, even when you couldn't necessarily buy it, going in there and playing with the stuff and taking pictures during the holidays and all of that kind. It was fun.
And I think they have a lot to learn. I mean, just recently, like I know we could go to New York very frequently. You know, in New York, like for instance, we go to Macy's in New York,
absolutely,
and they have food and all type of stuff. And I think Toys R Us even creates that model like the Macy's now are doing locally. They're putting a Starbucks in the stores, and they're putting different things in stores. I think there's an opportunity if they put the right things in the store that would drive up the attention to go back to a toy store. You know what I mean? Or again, that online appeal is very effective. So finding a way to push your products online and even making it such that the big kids get what they want as well, because I think there's a missing element. They're providing something for the big kids as well. It has to be focused not just on the babies, but also the big kids. So I hopefully they're working it out. I would love, if they need some advice, I would love to be at their tables. Holler at me. I'm available for counsel and consulting.
There it is.
I am. I'm
available to product test all the toys and video games.
But I'm definitely available for counsel and consulting.
I'm definitely available for that
so now we're talking about what's happening with, now I know a couple of weeks ago everyone was reading about the Nicki Minaj Cardi B hoopla that happened at the Met. Unfortunate. It's too unfortunate because the Met Gala because we watched the movie the other day. It's so amazing that's not the place that you go on the red carpet and act the fool, but it happened inside. And now Nicki Minaj decided she wants to cash in on it. So what she's doing, she's launching a t-shirt. And because Cardi B accused Nicki Minaj of trying to mess with her money, pointing out to the fact that reasons why that's part of the reason why they had this run-in, part of the reason why they had a run-in. So Nicki Minaj is selling merchandise inscribed with the words Nicki Nikki stopped my bag. And a nod to Cardi B's quote after the September 7th incident. The phrase refers to an attempt to stop someone from making money, the opposite of the slang phrase of securing the bag. Yeah. So now Nicki Minaj is kind of creating some stuff, some merchandise that says Nikki stopped my bag. First of all,
listen, shout out. I'm gonna be honest with you. Shout out to Nikki for
shout out to Nikki for monetizing on it, but I probably wouldn't wear a shirt like that because ain't nobody stopping my bag.
Facts.
Period. But I get it because people cash in on drama, whatever. So secure your checks, mama. Yeah. Secure it, but don't. Yeah.
Listen. That was.
I mean, it's a power play.
That was a power play.
It's a power play. Cardi B, you need to go back and think about. Did she say anything to you that you can actually cash in?
Right. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, was there a moment?
What do you do? Because Cardi B, the way she communicates is very much a part of her popularity and appeal to her audience. And so that quote did go viral. Nikki stopped my bag, and so.
I mean,
Nikki or Nikki's team recognized it and said, "Hey, well, I'm not going to stop my own bag. Matter of fact, I'm going to up my bag.
We're going to up this bag." Okay, now on other news, also what happened last week, and I think we kind of chatted about this, but maybe not really. Talked about the Versace buyout. The Versace buyout by Michael Kors. Now, which that was interesting because Michael Kors, he has made a lot of power moves like this in the past. He actually bought Jimmy Choo a few years ago. People, for some reason, thought that Michael Kors was not that guy, but he actually made the power play buying Versace for $2.1 billion. That's not chump change, you all. So now the research is saying that this is a good time to invest in Michael Kors stock. I would agree. Yeah. Because this man obviously has something that he obviously has a plan.
Yeah, he does.
He knows what he's doing. And I think that he's doing a great job because what he's not doing, and I think this is great, and it's something to note, he's not changing the brand identity of the existing companies that he's buying out, because he knows that those companies, he's probably going to contribute his own little flair to, but he's not changing the identity. I think that's most important. Because Michael Kors has his own brand. Like, it's no need to go try to make a Jimmy Choo of Michael Kors because it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work. It's a power move. Michael Kors.
It's a portfolio thing.
It's his portfolio. His holdings company.
Absolutely.
is what purchased Jimmy Choo. I can't think of the name of it right now off the top of my head. Is what purchased Jimmy Choo and Versace. And so it's a power move. And I want to talk to all of the folks on Facebook that are making power moves with us. And we ask that you subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Review our show in iTunes with constructive feedback, and share this Facebook Live post and the entire show with your family and friends. Now, you can also donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can donate at www.thesphere.tv/donate. We need your coin.
I mean, that coin, I appreciate the money that jingle.
Yeah, but I'd
rather have the money that folds.
Come on.
Or the one that just goes through the Cash App.
How about that?
All of those apps.
Yeah, or the Donate Now button.
Or the Donate Now. The Venmo, PayPal, all that. We take all that.
Zelle. Shout out to Zelle.
All of that. Okay, so back to the Michael Kors investment. I think it's amazing what he's doing. I think it's great, and it makes you think differently about how to structure a portfolio.
It does, because you have to realize people don't like Michael Kors had all this. Yeah, realize Michael Kors has been an American brand, an Americana brand for the better part of 40 years, and he is in every part of it. He's in women's wear and men's wear, but he owned that kind of affordable luxury space of jewelry and bags for women and handbags.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Accessories, absolutely.
And accessories, exactly. And so there weren't too many players as diverse as he was in all of those, whether it was earrings, bags, shawls, belts, watches, etc. And then what became his biggest play within the past few years were women's watches, and that's because he began to make them out of the same factory as Fossil.
And I think also he really recognized there was a niche market for a very nice watch that had a lot of personality to it, because I remember that the watches were coming so quickly and the styles were coming so quickly, like people were buying them like left and right. I mean, I think I got like 4 and 5 watches within like a year, but it was just they're affordable, but there were so many different styles, and I think they fit everybody's personality.
Right.
It wasn't just one thing, or maybe a showing of just 5 styles. It was so many styles, so many tints: gold, silver, rose gold. Face with the logo, no face with the logo. Some of it had little, crystals in it. Some of them didn't have crystals. And I think all that appealed to everybody, and I think people really needed to see and add that to their collection, because I know for me, I was like, and I have a style of Michael Kors that I like, and I don't kind of sway from it. So when it comes to Michael Kors watches, I like a big face. And so he kind of, he went away from the big faces, and it's not my thing anymore. No big face for me. Right. So no big face, no new Michael Kors, but I still have all of my Kors
Absolutely.
watches.
And it's a testament to the product construction and making everything, and I think it's really, really dope. Again, that's a big power play by an American designer buying to foreign brands.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about this. Workplace sexual harassment claims have spiked in the Me Too era.
Of course they have.
According to a report done by the EEOC, they have increased more than 12% in the past year, ending this past year. So the fiscal year ended September 30th, and it spiked 12%. The agency said it filed 41 lawsuits involved in allegations of sexual harassment, a 50% increase from the previous year. So what that means: no touching and no inappropriate talking in the workplace. And touching doesn't always have to mean someone fondled you. It could just be something that someone is not welcome. It's just not a welcome touch.
So and this is where it becomes problematic, right? Because intent is everything. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Interpretation is everything.
And interpretation. So when intent and interpretation don't align, then you have a potential workplace harassment violation or a workplace harassment case. And I'm from the South. Like, you're originally from New York, but I'm from the South. In the South, we hug. That's just what we do. But I've worked in international organizations where that's not necessarily the case. And I remember having some conversations to that regard, like, oh wow, it's so different, and being married to you and just having all of our legal talks before, understanding, first of all, assault. If I touch you and you don't want to be touched, you can be, in the state of Texas at least, you can file for make an assault claim, and it goes where it goes, or does not go. But even in the workplace, laughing and patting somebody on the shoulder, that could be considered workplace harassment, or even an email, or saying a joke, right, about or making a comment about someone who you think is attractive and to someone and they don't like it. It's just all kind of things, man, that constitute sexual, as they say, harassment.
And I hate that they say that, because I'm like, y'all, please stop that. It's harassment. It is harassment, not harassment. And because we're not talking about a person, we're talking about a thing. Yeah. And but no, seriously though, so don't assume that just because you didn't fondle or grope, that you cannot be charged with or brought up on a complaint of sexual assault. Unfortunately, again, when interpretation and intent don't align, or when they do align, you can find yourself in some very murky, muddy waters. So let's just make sure we all just keep our hands to ourselves.
How about that?
Keep our statements to ourselves.
How about that?
And don't send any appropriate messages.
How about that?
Because messages too can be considered an assault as well, right? So let's just make sure we're doing that. Now, in other news, let's just switch gears real quickly.
Let's do it.
Switcheroo. Now, I've heard a few stories this week, and one of them I thought was just really crazy, but I'm going to wrap this up into this. Tupac. So this week, Suge Knight's son said that Tupac was alive. This came after his dad was sentenced to 28 years in jail. Now, also around the same time, news broke that the state of Tupac Shakur has scored a legal victory by being able to secure some of the music that he had already recorded to be able to release at least 2 new albums. So the question is, was this all inflated just to push people to the whole Tupac conversation to make sure people start listening to the music, or do people really believe that Tupac is alive? Like, we know that we've been pushing the Machiavelli conversation for so long, but we don't really think that Pac is alive. I mean, I feel like Pac, man died almost 20 years ago. So, you know, I think that unfortunately the conversations like that, it doesn't boast well. And I feel like, you know, I'm on one end of it. I think some people have their Elvis, we have our Tupac.
I'm about to say, first of all, let the man rest in peace.
Yeah, but on the other end of it, we do want to hear some Tupac music.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and release the music.
For sure.
But that doesn't necessarily mean he's coming too. I think I think the more
No, you're right.
Yeah, so release the music. He doesn't necessarily have to be there if he's not there. So
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him hologrammed in and things like that, but his legacy is enough, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I'm excited about his music coming out. I'm excited about getting some new Tupac. I'm excited about one of the greatest rappers of all time, in my opinion. Some say he is the greatest. I won't argue with you. I'm excited about getting new music. I think it's interesting that Suge Knight's son, you know, was like, he's still alive. Like, why are we still trying to make this man alive? Why, just like why are the boomers still trying to, those are the boomers who are still, you know, still doing this, trying to make Elvis still be here? Like, these people gone. And even if they are here, they obviously don't want to be found. So let them be. You know what I'm saying? And let's just enjoy their music and enjoy what they created, the legacy that they left, and keep it pushing. Cause
I'm totally in agreement with you. I think that at some point we have to be able to say, you know, enough's enough, and I'm gonna say enough is enough on behalf of those who want him to rest in peace. So for sure, bring on the Pac music. Bring on the Pac music. And with that being said,
yeah,
let's talk about this wonderful smile you and I have. So this portion of our show is sponsored by Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to the finest possible oral care and the overall health and well-being of our patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are part of our family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable. Dr. Batiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Ashandra Batiste at her Elite Dental Wellness by calling 713-789-8680. Again, the number is 713-789-8680. Elite Dental Wellness. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's so crazy. So anyway, we know that now it took us to get to 2018 for people to actually start talking about marijuana, weed, cannabis, hemp, as if it was regular, like donuts,
sticky,
cookies,
bread,
French fries. We're in a very interesting, right? We're in a very interesting time because for a long time, you know, we all, well, not say we all, but many people did not see marijuana as a negative thing. But of course, it's illegal, so it has to be viewed as such. But now there's a new marijuana-derived drug to treat rare forms of severe epilepsy. And I think we had a guest on not too long ago to talk about this. And this drug will be for children. The issue with this drug is that's going to cost about $32,500 per year. $32,000.
Ungodly.
Now I did the math. I said 365 divided by this. That's about $89 a day. I don't know anybody now. I don't know anybody personally that smokes like that. But I don't know any weed smokers that would smoke $100 worth of weed a day in real life, let alone have them have some marijuana-derived drug to treat rare forms of epilepsy. I feel like when you're treating a health issue, I think that the price and cost of it should rival what people can get off the street. And my question is, if they were to, of course, we don't want kids smoking, but if they were to like go into like a cannabis-filled room or smoke-filled room, would that give them the same effect of this drug? Like, would it treat them the same way? Would somehow them ingesting the smoke without actually smoking it, would that help heal their body?
You know,
I'm just curious. I have a lot of questions about how this works.
Based upon the article, you know, CBD, there are two different like components of cannabis,
right? CBD,
cannabidiol, and THC, right? And so the article is saying that cannabidiol is what's contained in this medicine,
okay,
not THC. So I don't think them being around the smoke necessarily will help them. Again, I'm not a chemist, so I don't know, or molecular biologist, but I don't think that it will. However, I do think there is. This is two things. I think this is another step in the legalization of marijuana, because now its medicinal use has yet again been proven. But secondarily, $35,000. What is it? $32,000.
$32,500 again, and that's a year. And these are for children. And so how long would they have to take this? Do they have to take it for a whole year? Is it a treatment plan that they only take it for 6 months? What's going to be? Are insurance companies going to underwrite it? Like, how does that work?
And there will be at some point. Like Blue Cross Blue Shield is a liberal Fortune 500 insurance company. They're probably going to be one of the first to lead the charge to this, but. It just goes to show you how much money is in big pharma and how they really don't care about the consumer, right? This is ridiculous, and the fact that it has been approved, which means it will be for sale, it will be prescribed at some point. Now, who's going to be able to afford it? That right there, I really think that pharmaceutical companies should participate and take the Hippocratic Oath, just like physicians should, because at that point they'll be bound ethically, and have governing boards that hold them to those same ethical standards that doctors are held to in terms of their care. Because this is ridiculous, man. $32,000 for some kids. Parents can't afford that.
I agree, and I'm hoping that that the insurance companies do get on board to make sure that those persons who actually need this drug, will get it, and they won't break the bank. You know what I mean? Because I've been in places where without insurance, a medicine could cost the upwards of $100. With insurance, it costs $3.
Yeah.
So, I think that when we start, sharing the cost burden and the load, it's better for everybody. So I hope that becomes the case. Now, on the other end about sharing and oversharing and things like that, let's talk about feeding styles.
Please, I'm ready for this one.
Okay, so I was reading or reviewing some things that went on CNN about parental choices in feeding styles, and how only one choice is actually good for children. The other choices are not good for children, and these are choices that we see happen all the time. And so, most kids are picky eaters. They, by choice, they're picky eaters because they don't know what's good, but they're learning their palate. Yeah. They're learning their palate. So a lot of times parents take the road of, and many people can agree with this, eat the food that's in front of you and don't move until you finish eating it. And that is a common statement. It's called authoritarian feeding style, where you're controlling the feeding style. The parent may be inclined to push a child to take more bites of food or ask a child to clean their plate. The parent might also restrict the child's access to non-healthy or non-nutritious foods. So they're saying, like, you have to eat everything on your plate, and you cannot have cake, you cannot have cupcakes, you can't have candy and all that stuff. It's called authoritarian style. Another feeding style that's out there is called permissive and neglective feeding styles. And this style is one where parents don't have any type of control of what goes on. They loose the reins. They're like, whatever the child eats is fine. And the child has access to food, that's fine. You want cookies, no problem. You want pizza, no problem. You want soda, no problem. As long as they're eating, it's fine to them, because they can always say they ate. So that's one. So that's permissive and neglectful. The other feeding style is authoritative, not authoritarian, but authoritative is the love with limits. And this is the style that, hold on, I'm sorry. This is the style that is the love with limits, is the style that they feel like is the best one, which allows the parents to say, okay, it's a little bit of both. I'm going to let you try some things that, so you can know what a cookie tastes like, but I'm also going to allow you to have some discipline with what you're eating. So I definitely need to see vegetables on your plate. But with this style, though, they don't allow kids to be force fed, which means that a kid finish eating when they're full, right? Not necessarily when the plate is clean. There's a different mindset. Telling a child not to move from the table until they finish their food allows them to grow up to overeat sometimes because they have an unhealthy relationship with food. So because they remember that this means I did a good thing when I clean my plate. So it's just an interesting conversation, but it's going to be good to see how this plays out.
It definitely is. I think back, and I've heard this, and I've even said it to our children. Oh, you made a happy plate. You know what I mean? And so that terminology, don't get up until you and then the other end of it is you can't get up from the table until you eat all your food, right? To a small child, it's a lot. Their stomachs they're small. It's very, very interesting. So I'm excited to read more about this and to understand more about these feeding habits. As parents, we control how they eat. And I honestly think parents should be brought up for assault when they make their kids overeat.
But this is the thing.
But
see, the thing, in a parent's mind, they're not assaulting their kid. They're just making sure that they're eating the food on their plate. They're not saying.
Listen, let me clean it up. If they're making them eat pizza and all that junk, they know it's not good for them.
Yeah.
Then I think that's assault.
So let's talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's talk about how this portion of our show is sponsored by the Sphere. Are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have a need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at the Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. Again, the number is 832-772-7789 or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv.
We can get you right. We can get you ready. We can get your business advertised.
We can, and we will.
We will.
And we can, and we will. But no, so on a serious note.
Yeah.
On a serious note, one of the things that they say about that this eating article, they was just saying, number one, plan your meals. Don't fear sweets. Your kids have to taste them, and you really want them to taste them while you're present and why not then when you're not, because it's almost like sneaking a drink. You know what I mean? Like you want your kids to have those experiences while you're present, so you can talk about, you can manage it, and you can talk about why we don't overeat, why we don't do these things. Talk to your kids about food. Explain to them different things, and also be a good role model. If they see that the parents are binging all the time on bad food, but then you tell them no and you're always wagging their finger, it's not a good example. And make sure you treat all your children the same. Mm-hmm. So don't give one person benefits and not the other one. So don't say, okay, Johnny, you can have cake if you eat all your food, but you can't. Then again, that causes resentment in relationship. Mm-hmm. Make the rules the same for everybody.
And I have some resentment towards parents that make kids eat all this fast food all the time, junk and cookies and cakes and pies.
And a lot of parents, they just find their head like, this is what's available, so that's what we're going to eat. So, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. No. But on the flip of that, what's interesting is that more than 1/3 of Americans eat fast food every day. More than 1/3 of Americans eat fast food every day. 30? These adults, not just children. Adults. And we can...
Let's do the math. That's 320 some odd days a year. I'm sorry, not 300. 365. Was 120 some odd days a year. Mm-hmm. They eating fast food.
No. You're misunderstanding. More than 1/3 of Americans eat fast food daily.
That's even worse. So they eat 65 days.
They eat it every day, but that's over how many billion of people?
Yeah, it's not 8 billion people in the in the country. So
and then I hear the conversation, and they're like, well, I didn't have time to cook, or I didn't have any time for lunch, or this and all these reasons why people do it. I work here, so I'm going to eat it. Like, there's a lot of reasons why people do it. Some people, and we know this to be true, think that fast food is more economical, but actually it's not, because if you actually go to the grocery store and buy your food, you actually can make a meal for probably less than what you spend a day's worth of out eating for a whole week. So it's just very interesting, the psychology behind
$40 for that meal, but that meal gonna last you for 3-4 days.
And it will feed a family.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It will feed a family. So it says more than a third of Americans, 36.6% to be exact, admitted to eating fast food on a given day. Anywhere, and this study was conducted over 3 years, 2013 to 2016. They said that, this particular amount, the CDC noted it's a statement that fast food has been associated with a variety of problems, including elevated caloric intake, poor diet quality. Often doctors warn patients from consuming too much fast food for fear of health problems that could arise from eating too much. And we know this to be true. I mean, a lot of times people don't watch their health until they need to watch their health, right?
Until it's too late.
Or like, for instance, when I had the babies, I'm always watching my health, but I'm especially mindful of it. But when I listen to the doctor, and I know that she was saying the same thing over and over again to everybody, because people take that as a reason to binge. She's like, no, I need you to eat 6 small meals a day, and make sure they're healthy and balanced. What did you eat? Every time I said, what did you eat? I'm like, what did you eat? And I'm like, well, I had a bowl of oatmeal. I had some fruit. I had 2 apples. I had a couple pineapples. That whole thing, because it was like, because people don't take care. They don't realize that those unhealthy habits you're passing to your kids in utero. So it's interesting to see how that conversation evolves.
It is.
Now,
just don't eat fast food.
Just don't eat fast food. And if you have I can't even say when it's appropriate. I mean, I know that, on Tuesdays, Popeyes does $1 food or $1 and change, whatever. I get that, but you can't even make that a weekly thing. That has to be like a bi-monthly thing, because your body starts craving that food. So you have to
all the sugar and
fat, right, for sure. Now this is interesting, and I just talked about this with some students. This is my final thought for the evening. Gas prices.
With the price of gas, slide out to Leslie Jones.
With the price of gas, she came to Houston some years back, and she said, with the price of gas, and I swear I was so tickled by that. And I'm looking at Leslie now on SNL, and you're doing an amazing job. But okay, so with the price of gas, so gas prices are nearly hitting its highest level in 4 years, adding to calls to repeal gas taxes. I was explaining to one of my students, well, actually my class earlier this week, about, because they didn't know, just like I didn't know, I was very ignorant to it, that when the prices of gas are low, that means it's not good for the economy. However, when the prices of gas are high, supposedly this is a good thing for the economy, because apparently it's a balancing thing. I don't know enough economically about the cost of fuel as it compares to the barrel and all this stuff. Like, I should know this, but I don't know enough about it. But I do know that economists will say that when the cost of gas is higher, this is a positive thing. Is that how that works?
From my understanding, yes and no.
Okay.
It's a positive thing because of the global market.
Okay.
Right. But it's a negative thing because the price of oil per barrel hasn't changed that much in well over a decade. I mean, there has been some fluctuation and some up and down, but it hasn't fully changed in over a decade. And so, I'm not gonna say fully changed. There has been some changing, but it hasn't gone like $10 difference. You know what I'm saying? And so, the taxing is where revenue comes, and is where government gets money. Obviously, we know that. That's how government makes money. The majority of the money through taxing, and so that's what gives them the power and the leverage rather to wield whatever they can wield, tariffs and taxes and things of that nature. So yes, in that regard, it does balance the economy to some respect. Now, where the issue is, when gas was low, the last time gas was like affordable was late 90s, early 2000s, right? You know what I'm saying? That was the last time that it was affordable, but the economy was still balanced. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. It's one of those things that's not a fully a wholly 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 accurate statement. It's contextual. It really is contextual. And I tell you, we've had a phenomenal time on this show, where as we do each and every show here on Society Now. Make sure that you share the links with your friends, right? www.thesphere.tv/Society Now. Share them with your friends, with your family, with your enemies. We don't care. Share them with everybody.
Share them with everybody, because everybody needs to know what's going on in society today.
And I need you to know
now.
Right. And I need you to know how to follow me. And that's at SENORGUAPO713 on all social media outlets. I'm Kalen Laws. I'll see you next time.
And you can follow me on Instagram at the Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with the I, not a Y. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.